It's beer o'clock on Real Ale Craft Beer. Today we've got a beer from Bad Seed Brewing Company over in beautiful Denmark, and this is their new school West Coast Pilsner. There's a look at the label. Really like that label. It's got that kind of new but old school kind of look to it. It's 5% ABV, 440 milliliter can. Without further ado, let's get the beer out into a glass and see what we get. Little bit of smoke on the can opening. Beer in the glass. We have a 2-finger white head, good levels of carbonation, and yeah, it's a kind of hazy straw coloured beer. Nice carbonation. Now there's no widget or etching or on the bottom of this glass. It's just what you see there from the carbonation is what the beer is producing itself, if that makes sense. With these kind of widgets in the bottom of the glass, it kind of aggravates the carbonation, but what it does on the kind of flip side of that is that it flattens the beer really quickly. So, a little bit of haze, straw coloured, looks really good, really good. Lovely kind of fluffy head on it. Let's get the aroma. Wow, no, that's hoppy. That is a hoppy. Oh, incredibly hoppy lager. It's full of, for me, and I know it's a bit of a cliche for me, I mention it quite a lot, but it's full of blood orange, like tangerines and big Jaffa oranges. Zesty. Prickly. Peppery, spicy. A little bit of sweetness from that malt. It smells incredibly crispy. It smells delicious, really delicious. Let's get in. Cheers, everybody. Oh, wow. Yeah, wow. Stone the Crows. Stone the Crows, what a beer. Oh. Now, I know Bad Seed being a Danish kind of craft brewer, that, and of course I know it by the taste anyway. I know this is 100% hops. This is all hops creating that flavour. It is, when they mention West Coast on that label there, a West Coast Pilsner, that is, well, I was going to say probably, I'm going to say definitely the most kind of flavoursome. First and foremost, let me get this bit out of the way. I'll get back to it in a moment. It's really flavoursome, but it's the most bitter Pilsner I've ever drank in my life. Now, growing up, in my late teens, early 20s, it took me a while to get into it took me a while to understand Pilsner. I couldn't quite work out I always struggled, I suppose, looking back now, I was struggling with the bitterness. That's what I was struggling with. It wasn't like, because I was drinking like Brains bitters, which are kind of malty and sweet. And then you'd have the odd can of Pilsner. And it would be almost like too much. And I didn't know that back then because I didn't know much about beer at all. I didn't know it was the bitterness that was causing that kind of like, oof, you know, this is pretty full on. And that's normal for Pilsner. Pilsner is meant to be bitter. If I drank that in my late teens, early 20s, I think I would completely find it undrinkable. But after learning to love bitterness and understanding beer and understanding kind of West Coast of America style of beers, Pilsner styles of beers, you can put all of this together in your head and you can go, oh, this is absolutely terrific. This is, I would say, to the extremes of Pilsner brewing, definitely. They've whacked the IBUs. I'd love to know the IBUs on this beer. IBUs, international bittering units. Your taste buds in your mouth can taste up to, on a sliding graph, from 0, which is no bitterness at all, to 100. That's the human way of kind of working out bitterness, tasting bitterness. So, pardon me. So, I reckon on that kind of judging scale, from 0 to nothing to 100 the most, I reckon this is about 70, 75 IBUs. It's right up there, kind of leaning towards what your palate, what your taste buds can take in terms of bitterness. Does it say? It doesn't, which I'm pretty sure Peter the Master of Hoppets, who is the head brewer of Bad Seed Brewing, I'm pretty sure he might jump in the comments on this one and say, hey, it's probably, I'm going to say 70, 75 IBUs. Cool. But it's crisp, it's drinkable, it's refreshing. The carbonation pushes the beer around the inside of the mouth, releases more of that flavour. There's a little bit of sweetness to begin with. It's so refreshing, it's so drinkable. What happens when you drink a big IBU beer or a big sour beer is that very quickly your taste buds kind of settle down and they get into almost like a rhythm of you get used to tasting the bitterness. So already I'm drinking this beer and I'm getting used to the bitterness. It's becoming more of a kind of, I would never say a standard beer, but I would say I'm enjoying it more after I've had a few tastes of it. But flavour-wise, I touched on it earlier, it's so full of flavour. Grapefruit, orange peel, blood orange, Jaffa orange. It's like biting the pith, the pith of the lemon, a lemon peel, orange peel, grapefruit peel, that kind of really kind of full-on. I mean, you don't do it much in life, do you? You do it kind of once and you stop, but you never forget it. You never forget biting on lemon peel. It's good. It's a really, really good beer. It's a really, really good beer. It's full of flavour, full of bitterness, full of pepperiness and spiciness. Let's see what the brewer's got to say about it. Probably not too much. A West Coast Pilsner hop with Hallertau, Mittelfru, Citra and Mosaic. a product of Denmark. I'm going to rate it. I really like it. I do. I really, really like it. It's the reason why I spoke about the IBUs so much is that if you've bought this beer and you're wondering if you're new to beer and you're kind of wondering what you have here, then I hope I've done my bit to explain to you guys what's going on with this beer. West Coast of America, they were always very famous 10 or so years ago for producing really super bitter beers. And they've gone with that, a West Coast Pilsner, they've gone with that really kind of bitter Pilsner. Really good, really, really good beer. I like it enough to give it an 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10 from Real Ale Craft Beer. Please put your comments in the comments box, subscribe to our daily beer and food reviews, give us a big fat thumbs up. Boom, cheers.